Are you ready to hear Gentle on My Mind the way it was meant to be sung? Wildwood Flower, performed by Jeanette Carter. Jeanette shares with us personal glimpses of the famous Carter family and their influence in American music. Or how about a little dobro music from bashful brother Oswald? There's all that and more on Grassroots to Bluegrass Volume 7. Jim Shoemate recites the touch of the master's hand, and Leroy Troy is up to his usual shenanigans. But first, let's watch as Jim and Jesse join Walter Bales on his song, Ashamed to Own the Blessed Savior.
We ought to call on Jim and Jesse to do us here if they will. And there you go.
Mac Pop. Are we on? Well, we've got the mics over there set up. We were going to do a thing with Walter. Can we do that?
Sir?
Can we do the one with Walter we were talking about?
Oh, yes, that's lovely.
We have recorded several of the Bales Brothers songs and admired them all down through the years. Used to listen to them on the radio when I was just a little boy. You've heard that all your life, haven't you? Yeah. Now, I love their gospel songs. They've wrote some great songs.
Oh, that'd be great, Walter.
So let's go over, Walter, and we'll do it right over there.
Walter Bales and Jim and Jesse here are going to favor us with a tune. And while they're getting over to the microphones there, Charlie was pointing out several events like when he was in service with Jesse, stuff like that. I first met Ira in Knoxville. Again, I was on the merry-go-round. I was there with Molly O'Day. And
was that when I was over there?
Yeah. I was there in 1946 with Molly O'Day, and Ira was working with Charlie Monroe.
Yeah, he's singing bass with Charlie Monroe.
He was singing everything, I'll tell you.
And he recorded, I believe it was the Georgia Mail, bringing in the Georgia Mail. They went to Chicago and recorded that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was real ironic, and I got back and found that Ira was singing bass with Charlie Monroe.
That unreal.
But, he was, there's two tenor singers that really grabs me in this business, and one of them still here. And sometimes Bob Osborne and I get on the Opry, and we sing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, a few things like that. But Bob is a dangerous tenor singer to work with because there's almost always more Osborne in the tune than there is Leuven when he sings with me. He is an extremely...
He put a hurting on you, too. You had to
he's
hold 1 foot up to sing with him, I tell you.
He's an extremely branding type tenor. He's a great tenor singer. My brother was a lot that way. I could pick my brother out of a choir.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, once they came up to Wheeling and we were doing the late night radio shows, and Ira had wandered into the studio and he didn't say a word, and Bobby was, I don't even know the song that Bobby was singing, but he came up and just kind of, while Bobby was singing on there, he patted him on the shoulder like that during the whole song and never said another word about it. That's it. Ira.
Did he sing on Give This Message?
He sang on Give This Message to Your Heart, a song we recorded. They wrote, and we didn't have anybody to sing with us right then, and Ira sang on that song, yeah.
Well, I got about halfway mad at Sonny the other day, just back around Christmas time, or a little before Christmas.
Yeah.
He had got the message to me that the Osborne brothers was going to record Alabama and the 7-Year Blues. And then Sonny came to me and said that he wanted me to sing the lead on those two songs with Bobby. I said, I'd love to do that. And you'll hear from us. Well, I waited 3 or 4 weeks, hadn't heard nothing, and I ran into Bob at the Opera House, and I said, when are we going to do those songs? And he said, they're already done. I said, well, what happened? He said, you'll have to go talk to Sonny about that. I missed the best chance of my life
I
to get
know
to
it.
sing with Bob.
Make them rub it out, Charlie, and do it over. Walter, what you and the choir going to do for us here, buddy?
Well, thank you, Mac. I'd like to repeat what's been said a lot here today. I appreciate being here. I'm telling you, this is just a thrill of my heart. I don't know when I have been feeling so good about being somewhere than right here today with all these fine folks. And yesterday, and Ramona, I'll tell you what, you sure bring back a lot of memories. Her and Grandpa used to work the road with us a lot, and Grandpa commented, I remember him commenting that Of course, the Bales brothers was like some other brothers and some other musicians. Sometimes they didn't have the best report on reputation. But anyhow, Ramona told Grandpa that when she worked with us, that we were perfect gentlemen. And I told Grandpa, I said, hey, when there's a lady there, you can't be anything else but a perfect gentleman. And Ramona, we love you. We loved Grandpa. God bless you. I got to get in just a little bit on the Browns Ferry 4, though, okay? When we recorded for King, we recorded for Columbia, first had to go clear to Chicago in 45 because they didn't have a studio in Nashville. Now, if you can imagine that. But when we recorded for King just, they didn't pay much. I think Cowboy Copas is the only one ever collected off of them, and I think he threatened. But anyhow, they would record the cheapest way they could, so they rented the Studio A at WSM there in the National Life Building. And the Browns Ferry 4 was recording at the same day we was. They would go in, they'd do a few songs, come out, we'd go in and do a few songs. So I thought about that when you was talking about the Browns Ferry 4. I'll tell you, it's just wonderful to recall these memories. A song that I wrote about the time, that I wrote Dust on the Bible, that Jimmy and Jesse has recorded. Now, these wasn't the first ones I wrote. I started writing when I was about 17. I Want to Be Loved But Only By You, and Will the Angels Have a Sweetheart? But these songs have certainly stayed around. And here's one called Ashamed to Own the Blessed Savior. Up on the lonely tree of Calvary, my Savior took the blame for me. Then do you think that I disown him when his own blood he shed for me? Ashamed to own the blessed Savior, ashamed of him who died for you. Someday I know that you'll be sorry, for he will be ashamed of you. Can you deny him? Ashamed to own God's gift of love, our only promise for tomorrow, our precious Savior from above. Ashamed to own the blessed Savior, ashamed of him who died for you. Someday I know that you'll be sorry, for he will be ashamed of you. Oh Lord above, look down upon me, though I'm not worthy now to pray. Please cleanse me, Lord, and make me holy, that you would own me every day. Ashamed to own the blessed Savior, ashamed of him who died for boys are good pickers. I want to do this for Bill Clifton. He helped keep the Bales Brothers songs alive, and Mac Wiseman did too.
Right.
And I want to remember old Leroy Troy. He went clear to Holland with us. And Leroy Troy, he's just one in, he's just one in a row is what he is. One in a row. And he bought one of our old books over here that we used to sell in 1945 on WSM and had me autograph it for him. God bless you, Leroy Troy, and give your folks my best.
Thank you, Walter. And hey, remember when we was in Holland at that festival and you had a headache and somebody gave you a pill or two?
Yeah,
and
it was a pill too.
And we got on the stage and their theme song was
Remember Me.
Remember Me. And he started to sing it and forgot the words.
That's right. I sure did.
Or
That
say-
was some pill.
A while ago, we was taking a little break, and Oz and I were out here, he with his cane and me with my electric walking stick, and it just said, Oz, I'll run you a race, and he said, well, wait a minute, I'll get a counter to clock us by.
That ain't funny.
You dang sure ain't.
That ain't so funny. You all know that Mac had a farm up here towards Clarksville, Tennessee. Beautiful farm.
Don't take
Back at the barn, it was about a fishing pond, about as big as this room here.
Yeah.
Every year, the wild ducks start flying around over the country. They land on Mac's farm. They get into his corn, they almost eat him out of a hat and home. He invited me to come up there and see if I couldn't kill the ducks. He said he'd try to have a plan in the world to kill one. And never killed one. So we walked up towards the barn there, and Mac had skinned an old cow and throw the hide up across the rafter. I said, wait a minute, Mac, we've got a good idea here. We'll get this cow hide down, crawl in and kill that roll of them ducks. We got the old hide down. Of course, I crawled up in front and played the part of the cow's head. About that time, Mac began to move around back there in the back. I said, be still, Mac. I've got a dead animal duck and I'm plumb across the pond. He said, better let that duck go and kill that bull coming over the hill.
Hey,
That's the truth if I ever told you right there.
yeah, let them ducks go and kill that bull. I bet you John Hartford could dig me out of a hole right here. Why don't you do that ever-famous one that you put down that everybody has done? That they have to haul the money in trucks when it's royalty time.
Say, get that band to come over here behind me.
Get
I was
a
gonna
couple of the
say
band
this,
to it.
this song has a reputation for being a pop song and not a bluegrass song. But when I wrote it, I was a bluegrass banjo picker living in southeast Missouri in the cotton fields, and I sure didn't write it as a
For a pop song.
whatever.
It's been one of the best all-time songs I've
It's
heard.
been good for me, and I appreciate it a whole lot.
You cry all the way to the bank, don't
That's
you?
exactly right, Wolf. It's knowing that your door's always open and your path is free to walk. And makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and the ink stains that dried upon some light. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. It keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy planted on their columns now that binds me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we fit together walking. It's just knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk along some railroad track and find that you're waving from the back roads by the rivers of my memory. For hours you're just gentle on my mind. my Benny Martin honorary lick. I'd like to dedicate this to old Big Tig if he's out there. See, when I came, I'm in this business on account of Earl Scruggs and Benny Martin. That's where it starts for me. I went to see him in 1954 at St. Rocks Park, and they walked out there in them two-tone shoes, and I've never been the same since. All the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between. Had some other woman crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone. I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and a summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. Let's all play it here. Yeah, play it, Leroy. Put a capo on there. Yeah, there you go. That'll work. Sonny? Yeah. Shoot, best musicians in the world here, huh? I dip my cup of soup back from the gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a roughening coal pile and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cupped hands round a tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waving from the back roads by the rivers of my memory. For hours you just gentle on my mind.
Hey, dog. Ah, John, that's a classic. No wonder everybody recorded that one. Took you to Hollywood and everywhere, didn't it, John?
Yeah, buddy, put me in a fast lane.
John talking about that being winding up being a pop song, but I think we ought to follow right through with that same theme. Call on Jim and Jesse. They got one here that's a pop song. If I ever heard it, John Prine did it. And is that you fellas ready to do another one, Jim?
Well, I don't know about a pop tune.
Well, I thought you was going to do Paradise. Did you decide to do a different one?
We could do Johnny Be Good.
Okay, John. Hey, there you go. Johnny Be Good. That's not pop. That's rock and roll. But these boys can cut it. I'll tell you. You know, I think that they've displayed a wider range of material at this get together today, don't you, boys? I'm telling you, done everything from gospel songs to orchestras and everything else.
I think it's going to the orchestra pit.
You going to the orchestra pit? All right.
One more time.
Hey. Jim said they'd already been to the orchestra pit once. Yes.
Let me tell a Jim and Jesse story right quick.
All right.
A friend of mine went to see them in Sandy Ridge, North Carolina, and come back and said there's something back in the 50s. Jesse just got out of service. They playing a tape over the sound system. Mm-hmm. I said, no, they don't do it. Yes, they are. I watched his mouth. It ain't with a tenor. Mm-hmm. It ain't with a tenor. I said, well, they're going to be over here at Spray School next month. Why don't you go with me? So I went. He sat on this side of me, and a big old guy sitting over there. He said, now watch his mouth. Watch his mouth. I said, well, I can't tell, no. He said, well, there's a tape playing. See, watch Jesse's mouth. It ain't with a tenor. And the old big guy said, hey, man, watch the guitar's mouth. He's the one singing tenor, and shut yours.
He thought because he's playing the mandolin, he's playing singing tenor.
Well, he's supposed to be the tenor singer in North Carolina, you know.
Tell them about it, fellas.
Thank you, Carlton. I remember, we was talking about Carlton Haney a while ago. I remember I did something one time, Carlton didn't know which direction I was going, you know. Back
You
when
wasn't the only one.
I was at my home place in Virginia, visiting my parents up there, and and the phone rang. We had this little thing going. Every time the phone would ring somewhere, you say, "That's Hollywood calling." And the phone rang one night, and the operator came on. That's when the operator would come on and tell you. She said, "This Hollywood calling Jesse McReynolds." I said, "Now, who's this?" Pulling a prank on me. And they want me to come to California, record with the Doors. And this was back in, whenever that was, in the 50s or 60s, I guess it was. And I went out there and did a project with the Doors on the Soft Parade. Carlton heard that. He called Jim one day. I think he said, "Jim," he said, "what's Jesse trying to do? He's going out there and play with them rock and roll people." Do you remember that, Carlton?
I couldn't figure that out. I thought I was going to have to hire them and put them on the Doors, and put them on a festival.
Yeah. But
That'd
Jim,
work.
that was the beginning of the split of Jim and Jesse, 35 years ago. Anyway,
I think you might ought to go ahead and sing before I get started here.
if you got any stories to tell, you better tell it. Well, little Roy's got a lot for you over there.
Yeah, he may have a lot for me, but I've never had nothing for him. I think we ought to do it.
We'll do this song written by John Prine, and we was going to do one that I wrote, but I told Mac I already had it published. So we're getting on that.
Publish, you can't do it.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll do this. Let's see if I can get through it. I guess I can. We'll see if we can do Paradise.
When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky where my parents were born. There's a backwoods old town that's often remembered. How many times that my memories are worn. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away. Sometimes we travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Adrian. Where the air smell like snakes and we shoot with our pistols, but empty pop bottles was all we would kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is on it away. And the coal company came with the world's largest shovel. They tortured the timber and stripped all the land. They dug for their coal till the land was forsaken, then wrote it all down as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away.
Oh, that sibling harmony is shining mighty good today, I'll tell you.
Little Roy, I was just kidding what I said about you there.
Oh, that's fine. I get you.
In fact, I've never been more serious in my life.
I understood now that they asked you to come out They asked you to come out and play for the Doors, and you understood them to say, asked you to come out and play for the Door, which as a bluegrass musician you were used to.
That's what he's been doing for Carter.
I asked if I could bring Jim, and they said, "Who's he?"
We've heard a lot of stories here, but I think the true ones are as entertaining as the sad ones, to tell you the truth. But I was just thinking of a couple of things. Jim Shoemate and I was visiting a little bit, a couple of things that happened when we were with the original Foggy Mountain Boys. Our transportation wasn't quite up to date, but it was,
He took us there and brought
most
us
of the
back.
time it was reliable. I had a 39 Studebaker, and the Scruggs used to make fun of the lights that you had to hold a lantern out front, see where you was going.
Yeah.
And every time you'd have the front end lined up, and it'd hit a pothole, it'd squat like that, see? But Lester had a 39 Ford station wagon, one of those with the canvas top and the wood sides and stuff. And we'd alternate driving on the road each week, you know.
See, I think I had a 41 Chevrolet convertible.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and Cedric,
yeah,
he
you had
had
the best car
in
in
style, man.
in the
I was
van, but
riding high.
you wouldn't use it on the road, would you?
Cedric had a DeSoto. We called it the DeSoto, you know.
But anyhow, I was driving Flat's old wagon one time. I went way back up in the mountains, played a school or something out of Mountain City, Tennessee. Coming out of there late that night, there wasn't a light nowhere, a star shining anywhere, and the cotton picking generator went out, and the lights went out on the wagon. And no place you could go and call anybody or get any help or anything. So we had stopped in Abingdon and picked up a couple of hundred posters that we advertised with at the printers. So I sat on the fender of that station wagon and burned those posters so we got out of the mountains. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
We really did. Laid like a torch with an Indian going back in. Burn it out, throw that away, and light another one, see? And another time, we had a Barney Fife experience.
Yeah.
We was all in this station wagon going over toward Richlands, Virginia. And
Yeah. Highway
this-
Patrol stuff.
well, it was a local sheriff, I believe.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
he
he
done it,
pulled
run
in
up there
behind
with
us
his
by
gun in
himself.
his hand,
Yeah.
made us all hold.
Pulled his gun out and lined us up,
Yeah.
hands up on the car and all this stuff, you know.
I was
wouldn't-
eating the apple. I started to throw it away. He said, "Get them hands up!" Scared me to death. He was just trembling. He was white. You remember?
That's right.
Remember the outcome of that? Some bank robbers, the same amount of us,
That's
just
right.
robbed the bank after
That's right. He was scared because he
he
found
thought
us
sure
all.
that he had his men, same kind of car we was driving in.
That's right. And again, the only way we could prove our identity, we had the
handbill.
posters with the picture on it.
Yeah.
And finally, after he got calmed down enough to let us show him a poster, and we matched the pictures on the poster, he
Yeah.
let us go. But I was a little concerned because he might have had his single bullet in the chamber there, you know.
I want you to know I was very much concerned. I was very.
We was on our way over Richland to play that fiddle contest that you
Yeah, that's right.
won that
Yeah,
day. I put you over pretty good, didn't
Mac,
Yeah, I come out pretty good on that deal.
was those posters in the post office?
Yeah, that might have been where he got his tip. I don't know.
He couldn't have shot one of you, he only had one bullet.
That's right. But I didn't know which one he's going after.
Getting back to that fiddlers convention, that was something really, really good for me, because if Kenny Baker had been there, it'd probably been a different story than what it turned out.
Better believe it.
You see? We was billed, I think, as a 12-state national champion, wasn't it, man?
Yeah, I believe
That's what it
something like
was.
that, yeah.
So we had some high-dollar fellows there. Let's see, Buck Ryan, he was playing with Jimmy Dean then. He was there, and Chubby Wise, he was working with Hank Snow at that time. And he was there, and Leslie Keith, he had just written a tune called Black Mountain Blues, and he just winning contests all over the country with that. So we matched, and I come up last. I was gonna do the Orange Blossom, Mockingbird, or something, kind of a show tune, you know. So Buck, he got to play first, and he played the Mockingbird, turned that thing that way but loose. And let's see, Chubby Phil next. He played Orange Blossom, which supposedly, he did actually. And Keith, he played Black Mountain Blues, of course. And so that left me with, I said, Cedric, what am I going to play? Those fellas done played everything that's good. Oh, he said, play Lee Highway Blues. So them fellas can't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Tickled me to death when he said that. But I figure what helped me a lot was Mac we made a deal before this thing. One guitar man was to play for everybody. Then nobody could say, well, if so-and-so had played for me, it'd have been different. But Mac, he played for all of us. And when I played Lee Highway Blues, well, he turned it every note for note. Every note I made on the fiddle, well, he was right there. So that, like I say, if Baker had been there, of course, it'd have been a different story. Pappy Sherrill or any of these fellas, but I happened to be at the right place at the right time. That was, but I come out on top. And
Did you say Mac played the guitar with you?
Oh, man.
Yeah, boy.
Did he play?
How much did Mac get paid that day, reckon?
Well, let's see, we had 12,000 people there, and the best I remember, my part of the gate was $400. What was yours, Mac?
Mac got half of it, right?
Mac probably...
Can't do it without a guitar, man.
I think Lester Flat got...
Not trying to judge fiddle players, because I think all musicians like apples and oranges. There's no such thing as a best, but all of you better be glad that Scott Stoneman wasn't there that day.
I played one of his tunes, I think.
Contest fiddler I believe I ever saw, because he gets out his toothpicks and his comb and he plays it standing on his head and all this kind of stuff.
You have to be careful I've noticed in this group here, you have to be awful careful what you say. People take things out of context, which leads me up to a story I won't tell. It won't take long. This farmer, he had taken his pig to the market and he's driving his pickup truck, and of course his old hound dog always rode along with him, and so he's going to the market, and all of a sudden a hot rodder come out the side road, run a stoplight, just tore everything all to pieces. They called the local deputy sheriff. He come out and squared everything away and went on home. And one of his farmer's friends said, I understand that was that other fellow's fault, wasn't it? He said, yeah. He said, you ought to sue him, get you some money. Why? I said, I can't sue him. He done the thing settled. Yeah, but said, tell him that you got hurt, and that'll do it. He thought about it. I said, maybe I should sue him, get me some money. So he went ahead and sued the man. They got into court. They had this fellow's attorney had the old farmer on the stand, and he said, now, sir, is it not true that you told this deputy sheriff standing right here, right after the wreck, that you never felt better in your life, and you here now suing the man for being damaged? Yeah, he said, that's right. But he said, you have to understand now what context I said that in. Well, he said, do tell the courts, do tell the courts. Well, he said, you see, it's like this. He said, the old hound dog was laying there with 2 legs broke, just a squabbling and carrying on. Deputy took out his gun and shot him, got out of his misery. Pig come rolling out, his back broke, a squealing chicken. Shot him, got him out of his misery. Walked over to me, the gun still in his hand, said, now, sir, how do you feel? That's when I said, never felt better in my life.
Felt pretty good at the time.
So you have to be careful.
Yeah, Jim's got a tune that I'd like to get him to do for everybody right here. This is a wonderful thing, and his rendition of it's second to none. It's the touch of the master's hand. You want to do it sitting there, Jim, or you need to?
Yeah, I'll do that if I can remember it. I think I can. I recorded it some time back on one of my recordings, and it's doing real well, and I appreciate it. It's an old story we've heard for years, and everybody does it a little different. And I guess everybody that does it just different than somebody else does. And this fella was auctioning off a fiddle, and he said, what am I bid for the fiddle? And held it up with the bow. $1, somebody said. Another said $2. Only $2? Will someone make it $3? Yeah, $3. $3 once, $3 twice. Going for $3. But no. From the room far back came an old gray-haired man, picked up the fiddle and the bow, and he wiped the dust off the old violin, tightened up all the strings, played a melody soft and sweet, yeah, much like the angels sing. The music stopped, and the auctioneer, with a voice kind of quiet and low, said, "What am I bid for the old violin?" Held it up again with the bow. $1,000. $1,000? Who'll make it 2,000? 2,000? Who'll make it 3,000? 3,000 once, 3,000 twice. Going and gone, said he. Well, the people cheered. Some of them cried, "We don't understand. What changed its worth?" The man replied. It was the touch of the master's hand. And you know, many a man with a life out of tune, battered and scarred with sin, he's auctioned cheap to a thoughtless crowd, much like the old violin. But then, a glass of wine, a plate of food, a game, and he travels on. He's going once, he's going twice. He's going, and he's almost gone. But then the master comes, yet the foolish crowd never seems to understand the real worth of a soul and the change that it brought by the touch of the master's hand.
Oh, we love it. I love it.
That's beautiful, Jim. Beautiful indeed.
Thank
You're
you.
stronger. You're a stronger fella than me. I couldn't have got through that.
Well, it's hard sometimes. It really
Yeah.
is.
I think while we're in this mood, it'd be a good time to have Oz play us a gospel song on the dobro. He's got one he's been waiting for several hours to play here, and I always love the way he plays this one. So, Oz, you to tell him about it, or just take off and pick it. I'm sure everybody'd enjoy it.
Play the same one he played.
There you go. That's right.
The old boy back me up. And see.
Beautiful, Oz. Wow. Oh, another touch of the master's hand, I'd say, huh? I think we ought to have a little Carter family picking along about here. Of course, we got the young lady who could take care of that part of it. I was just wondering, as you were doing your part on the other show, Jeanette, did you go to Del Rio, Texas with the family when they went down there for Crazy Water Crystals?
I was down there in 38, and I was down there about 2 years.
Were you really?
On XERA in Del Rio,
Yeah.
across from Del Rio. It was a Mexican station, you know.
Was Mother Maybell's children small at
Well,
that
Helen,
time?
June, and Anita, yes, they were
They were,
small. I
mhm.
was 16, they was 12, 10, and 6.
My gosh.
That's when we were all there working.
I'd heard of the Monroe brothers and the hired hands, and the Carter family being sponsored by Crazy Water Crystals, and didn't realize till today, I was talking to Pappy Sherrill, but apparently if you work Crazy Water Crystals, they moved you around from station to station or town to town, wherever they wanted to sell their product. Am I right, Pappy?
Yes.
Because he,
Had a good group and it was well, tuned up together good and played good while they got a chance to go on it. So we played in Asheville, Charlotte, Atlanta. We covered the Carolinas and Georgia.
I'll be darned. That's one of the first corporate sponsors, I guess, of country music. Prior
Well,
to,
Consolidated Drug was sponsored them, and that was Peruni and Colorback.
Yeah.
And I think Crazy Water Crystals was one of them.
Yeah. And then Hadacol came along.
Well, I guess it did.
And Kenny Baker drank all the profit. Along with, well, we won't put nobody else on that. You've picked out another good old Carter family song for us here, I think, Jeanette, one of my very favorites. You got something you want to add to that, Clifton?
I just wanted to see if Jeanette would tell us why her family insisted that she go down to Del Rio with them.
Well, they thought I was going to get married, and they jerked me up and took me to Texas. Well, when I come back home, I still got married. It's delayed it a while,
They just put it off, huh?
Yeah. Didn't work.
Was it the same guy you was courting before you went?
No, it was a different one. I probably should have took the one they jerked me up and took me away from. That's what I say,
Is the
man.
last one still living?
Yeah, he's still living.
You know, he's going to hear this.
Well, he may do it, I don't know. But that's the truth. They took us to Texas to work. Well, it was pretty hard to be away from your children, and they'd down there working, so they just took the children along, you know.
That's great.
And they went a long way, Helen, June, and Anita. I tell you, they did.
Yes, they certainly did. They worked very hard.
They worked ever since they was children.
Yeah.
And music. I worked in music ever since I was a child. I've slowed down a few times, then started out again.
Yeah.
But
kind of got you in and took off again, huh?
Yeah.
This song that you're going to do for the Blue Eyes, the one you're going to do, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Where did that come in the recording career? Was it towards?
Well, that was among the first, I think.
Because Weeping Willow, I believe you said, was the very first.
Weeping Willow, Burn Me on the Weeping Willow was the first one.
Okay.
When that married girl, single girl, when did that come in?
That was one of the first ones. I heard my daddy say that was that was their first big seller.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, back then they didn't. You didn't distribute records like you do now. They didn't take records around to programs where they presented them.
No.
Montgomery Ward sold them, or Sears Roebuck,
Right.
and they had quite a way of distributing them, the places. But Mommy and Daddy and Maybelle had to depend on somebody else. They didn't carry records around.
Mm-hmm.
They
Well,
didn't
they were-
have mics when they was going out on these programs and doing these entertainments. Daddy always called them entertainments.
Yeah.
They would, they still had the lamp lights, and they didn't have mics. They all just got up there and sung, and people listened.
Yeah.
They listened to them.
Well, you don't miss what you've never had. I think.
Jeanette, how did they go about promoting the records? I mean, there wasn't the radio stations or anything like that.
I don't know how they promoted them, but some way
I know they
did.
sold them through the Montgomery Ward.
Yeah,
but
they
how
sold
did
them through
How
that.
did they publicize them? Like they was talking yesterday about selling 1 million records. How would they, like Vernon Dalhart, how would they promote enough to sell 1 million records?
Well-
and who would hear it? You know, how would they hear it?
I don't know how many they sold, but they sold an awful lot of records, and they sold them. They were very, very cheap. Of course,
Yeah, obviously,
$1
I mean, they
went a
sold a
long
lot,
way back
for
then. I think they sold for about 39 cents a record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, when they went to Texas and started working, that helped for people to know who the Carter family was. You
Yeah,
know.
for sure. That's a huge station there. It was
I
bigger
heard
than
my-
the stations were allowed to be in this country.
I heard my daddy say the first program they ever put on was coming from Charlottesville, Virginia. My mother's sister lived up there, and they'd been to see her. They was coming home and the car broke down, and Daddy says, "Well, sorry, what are we going to do?" She says, "I don't know how to do nothing but sing." So he went to the store, stopped at this general store, and he said, "Where's the schoolhouse?" And the man told him where the schoolhouse was, and he said, Daddy says, "I'm going up there and see if he'll let us do a program here tonight. And I'll maybe make enough money to fix that car to get home." So he went and asked the principal of the school, and he told him yes. And the man at the store told everybody to come in. "Now you go hear this man and woman sing." So they did, and they made enough money to get home.
Just the two of them?
Just the two of them. Maybelle I don't guess Maybelle had come over across the mountain and married we called him Uncle Eck. It was Uncle Esri. Mommy and Daddy worked some by themselves. Moved over there, and they all three got together.
I'll be there. I never realized that until now. I thought it was always a two.
Janet, I have a question that's pertinent, I think. I believe Dick Spotswood, Eddie, you know who I'm talking about, up Washington, D.C. I heard him play a record here a while back, and it was the Carter Kids. Was you on that? I know that Anita and June and Helen were.
Well, what was the song?
I don't remember. I don't remember the song, but this has been maybe a year ago. I heard Dick play that. Are you acquainted with that, Eddie? No. Well, if you're not, we might as well forget it.
Now, they usually them three sung together as a trio, and I sung by myself when I was in Texas. I worked by myself.
Jeanette, how do they, when they go somewhere to play, how would they promote? I know in the early days, back in the, early 50s, what they call ballyhoo. They'd have and Jim and Jesse, you guys know what that is. They just put a speaker on the car and drive up and down through a town and say somebody's going to be here in town tonight.
I don't remember doing Mom and Daddy
things?
Maybelle that way. I don't think they did.
I don't think they had speakers back then, did
Nah.
Well, no, they wouldn't have had a speaker, no. But how'd they go about promoting? When they go somewhere to play, how'd people know they were going to be there?
Well, Daddy put up a lot of posters. He would make posters or write it down on a piece of paper or something, stick it up at service stations and schools, and that's the way. They didn't have advertisement back then like they have now.
No, I know. I didn't know how they did it.
Well, would you do the Blue Eyes for us? This is one of the most famous melodies ever, I guess. Every time this melody's been
Well, I've
used, it's
heard
been
my
a hit
daddy
song.
say this was the best seller, I believe, of any.
Yeah.
Anyway to start with.
Oh, the same melody of Take the Night of My Blue Eyes is similar to The Great Speckled Bird and Wild Side of Life and Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angel. Anytime they ever used that melody, it was a hit, it seems like. This is the original one here.
Would been better for us both had we never in this wide, wicked world have never met. For the pleasures we both seen together, I am sure, love, I'll never forget. Oh, I'm thinking tonight of my blue eyes, who is sailing far over the sea. Oh, I'm thinking tonight of him only, and I wonder if he ever thinks of me. Oh, you told me once, dear, that you loved me, and you said that we never would part. But a link in the chain has been broken, leaves me with with a sad and aching heart. Oh, I'm thinking tonight of my blue eyes, who is sailing far over the sea. Oh, I'm thinking tonight of him only, and I wonder if he ever thinks of me. When the cold, cold grave shall enclose me, will you come here and shed just one tear and say to the strangers around you, upper heart I have broken last year. Oh, I'm thinking tonight of my blue eyes, who is sailing far over the sea. Oh, I'm thinking tonight of him only, and I wonder if he ever thinks of me.
Oh, boy.
When they ask any of us why we come here and what we enjoyed the most, or when they ask me, that's what it'll be right there.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because I don't care how you look at it. You can look at this as 5 million miles wide, but it all funnels right down to one thing, and at the very bottom, and it points right over there.
Yeah.
It's unreal. That's
And
beautiful.
It still has that magic. I'd buy that record in a second, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'd go looking for it. That's the reason.
Knowing you'd buy about 10 of them and sell 9. And then try to get the publishing on the one that's left. Just joking, man.
Main thing I liked about that, we didn't have to crank that crank to speed it up when it
That's
slowed
right.
down.
That's right. Oh, I'm getting a bad rap here with this publishing thing. I'm just trying to get home, boys. What'd you say,
I don't
John?
I was wondering where AP got that song.
I don't know whether he got it, where he got it. He may have wrote it.
Yeah. Years ago, we used to have a program, Township Auditorium in Columbia. It was Saturday night, so we had the Carter family down, Sarah, Maybelle, and AP. And so they came and had lunch with us. And AP got in the room there, and for about an hour, he'd sing with the ladies, and he'd join in most anywhere. It didn't make no difference. He'd be singing, he'd just join in, take a part, and out he'd go and come back in.
Yeah.
But even the girls, when they grew up, Maybelle and the girls, they've all been to my house, and then they played.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the small one to play the bass, standing up on a box.
No.
You remember that?
Oh,
Sing us another one.
those are the great rewards.
the Wildwood.
You got another one you can lay on us there, Jeanette?
Was there a time, wasn't there a time when AP
Let's get her
dropped
to
out
the
of the
Wildwood
group?
Flower. Will she do that?
It was a time when he dropped out of the group and then you all used to play and he'd come and sit in the back of the hall and listen to you?
No, he
Or is that
didn't
just-
drop out of the group. Maybelle dropped out of the group and took her girls to train him. He didn't drop out. If he had his way, they'd have never broke up. But my mother and daddy divorced, and so she moved to California, and so Maybelle went to work with her 3 girls, and then they just kind of all quit working for a while, you know. Let me explain a little.
Charlie wanted to know if you could sing Grave Upon the Green Hillside.
Well, now, I don't know all the words to that. I wouldn't attempt it. Well, I guess I can do the Wildwood Flower.
How about the girl on the Greenbrier shore?
Yeah, how about that?
I'd better stick to the Wildwood Flower or something.
Hey, can I start selling tickets? Can I sell tickets? Hey, y'all.
Max already asked.
Yeah. You got dibs on this, boy.
Oh, I'll twine with my mangoes and waving black hair, with the roses so red and the lilies so fair, and the myrtle so bright with the emerald dew, pale and the leader and eyes look like blue. I will dance, I will sing, and my love shall be gay. I will charm every heart, in his crown I will sway. When I woke from my dreaming, my idols were clay. Portion of love had all flown away. Oh, he taught me to love him and call me his flower that was blooming to cheer him through life's dreary hour. Oh, I long to see him regretted or care, gone and neglected, this pale wildwood flower.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jeanette. That's priceless. I'm sure. I'm so glad we were able to get that on the videos. Many folks would enjoy that. It'll bring back memories to a lot of folks. A lot of folks will get acquainted with you for the first time. That's the joy of doing these things.
I think the last verse of that song is one of the best written verses in country music, if you listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that thing ties in.
Only a songwriter would notice that, wouldn't it, John? Well, I'm saying that as flattery to you. This isn't quite a switch here, but I think we ought to call on Leroy Troy to do his thing. Wow! He's going to come around here front and center and do some Uncle Dave for us, aren't you?
I don't know if I want to follow Miss Jeanette or not.
Well, I tell you what, I wouldn't want to. That's the reason I called on you.
Yeah, let me come over yonder.
Sure, Leroy. Leroy said that's like trying to dip bean soup with a fork.
While Leroy's getting around here, Carlton Haney brought this, and I think it's of interest. What did you say this was, a Gibson mandolin?
No, it's, they call them tater bugs, and that's 104 years old there. The Italians started bringing them from Italy in the 1800s, and Sears in Chicago realized there's going to be a market for them. And that one was built in 1894 by the company in Chicago, and it sold for $4.50 in the Sears Roebuck catalog.
That's all it's worth.
That's about it. And they did have a better model that was $6.50, and they had rosewood guitars for $10.50. But that one's 104 years old, and I bought it at a yard sale for $2.
You never carry a tune with this, got a crack in it.
And I don't know what to do with it now. I'm trying to find somebody that wants to start a band.
Yeah. Well, that is of interest. I'm glad you brought that, Carlton.
Mac, I'm glad you don't play a mandolin because it wouldn't fit your stomach.
Now, I tell you, it looks like a turtle laying there that way. I had never laid it down on it, but it does look like a turtle there.
It look like what?
A turtle.
A turtle, yeah.
I don't know what they call them, bugs.
First time I ever saw a turtle with keys on it, right?
Tater bug, that's what they were.
Yeah.
Looks
yeah,
like
that's
a
what they
tater
call
bug.
a tater bug mandolin, yeah. Leroy, are you ready, Leroy, my boy?
I have been ready since 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh, it's rough to have to wait.
Well, I guess y'all want to know why I'm playing the banjo, don't you?
Yeah.
Everybody else has told about when they was a kid, you know. Back when I was a kid, my folks had a Flatt and Scruggs record, and that Foggy Mountain Breakdown That's why I wanted a banjo.
Yeah.
Earl Scruggs, so it's all his fault. And they had a record of A-Cuff and a record of, had several different artists on it, country artists, and one of them was Jimmy Rogers. And so when I was about 7 or 8, I kind of started, going down that way. And so then, my first job was in a bluegrass band, Lonnie Jones and Plantation Bluegrass. And then I got hooked up with the Bales brothers, Walter Bales there, and Ernie Ferguson, and Walter's brother Kyle. And that's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I learned a whole lot. And I remember them miles and miles of us traveling, listening to them 8-track tapes of the Carter family. Yeah. That's when I first, got introduced to the Carter family, yeah. And, no, I met a feller by the name of Cordell Kemp when I was about 15 years old. And Cordell lives up at Difficult, Tennessee. And when he was a boy, Dave Macon would come up to Defeated Creek. Well, it was called, the community was called Hogtown back then, and they had a one-room schoolhouse up there. And Uncle Dave would come up there and do shows, And there were some folks that lived close by, and he would go and stay with them folks during the night and leave the next morning after breakfast. Well, Cordell would grab his banjo and go down and catch him the next morning before breakfast. And he said Dave Macon sit out there on the porch and teach them stuff on that old banjo. And I learned a whole bunch from Mr. Kemp. And Mr. Kemp's probably been my biggest influence. And another man that's been a big influence on me is with us today, sitting right over here holding that dobro, Mr. Bastard Brother Oswald.
You betcha.
And also, Grandpa Jones was too. I reckon Grandpa was the first one that I heard play that style, I wasn't too sure what Earl was doing, when I first got a banjo, and, somebody told me I needed a thumb pick, and I got me a thumb pick, and boy, I was going to town on that Foggy Mountain breakdown with that one thumb pick, and then somebody told me that sounded more like Grandpa, and I said, well, how was he playing that? He said he's got 3 picks, so I got 3 picks, and I tried that, but it didn't work too good because I had them on backwards, And I tried that for a while. I give, that right there kind of went, like that. So I stuck to that style right there.
You're going to be the Grand Marshal out at the Uncle Dave Macon days in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
But,
that's a great tribute.
They called
Ramona
me.
and Grandpa have been there, and I've had that pleasure. So you'll enjoy that immensely. Give us a little sample, Uncle Dave, will you?
You want me to quit talking now?
Yeah.
One called the New River Train. Ready?
Darling, you can't love one. Darling, you can't love one. No, you can't love one and have any fun. No, darling, you can't love one. Darling, you can't love two. No, darling, you can't love two. No, you can't love two. Still be true. No, darling, you can't love two. I'm riding on that New River train. I'm riding on that New River train. That same old train that brought me here is gonna carry me back again. About that.
That's fine.
Darling, you
can't love free. I'm running on that new river train. I'm running on that new river train. That same old train that brought me here is gonna carry me back again. Darling, you can't love four. Oh, darling, you can't love four. No, you can't love four and love me anymore. No, darling, you can't love four. Darling, you can't love five. No, darling, you can't love five. No, you can't love five and take honey from my hive. No, darling, you can't love five. I'm running on that new river train. I'm running on that new river train. That same old train that brought me here is gonna carry me back again. Hey! Thank you.
Thank you. Uncle Dave would have been proud of you. You do any more of his tunes that you pull tricks with there?
That tune there I learned from Walter, remember?
Do what?
That tune there I learned from you.
Yeah, right.
Well, I hadn't got my picks with me. I think they're, I can't use that pick.
Keep my skillet.
How about,
Get it?
what is that song, huh? No, I done that
Keep the
yesterday.
skillet greasy?
Well, I'll have to retune for that. That's a day making tune.
Yeah, it sure is.
Hit me a seer, bud.
The boing.
While Leroy's tuning there, I'd like to tell you a little story about one time I was sitting at the house and somebody knocked on the door and just walked in the kitchen there. And it was Leroy, you know, and he said, "Come here, I want to show you something." And so I stepped outside there. And he had his truck pulled up there in the driveway. And there was a coon standing in the front seat looking out over the door, you know, had the window down. And you had him tied up there about where the light is in a pickup truck, you know. And so we was talking about this coon. After a while, he'd just walk around on the seat, down the floor, and up on the back, and everywhere, you know. And Leroy had a little pocket right here under the steering wheel, you know. That coon, he got there on the seat and run his hand down there and pull a pistol out, you know.
Out of that pocket?
Yeah, out of that pocket. He had that pistol. Leroy said, "That's a no-no." What caliber that was?
That was a no-no. Yeah. Well, we won't talk about that right now. Get out of the seat, Mr. Charlie. Got Mr. Mike Bubb on the bass fiddle there, and Mr. Charlie Cushman on the guitar. They've been working hard, you know it, today and everything. And Ronnie and all of them, basically the Dale McCurry band. Yeah, I know it. I think that's about right. Y'all ready? Now, you know that thing kind of has an offbeat to it, you know. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. I'm going downtown, gonna buy me a sack of flour, gonna cook it every hour. My skillet good and greasy all the time. My skillet good and greasy all the time.
whiskey, gonna give it all to Misty. Keep her good and high and boozy all the time, time. Keep her good and high and boozy all the time. Thank you much.
Thank you, Leroy. He sure, anybody that knew Uncle Dave, you could see him sitting there, couldn't you? You got him down pretty pat, hadn't you, Ramona? Yes, yes.
Hey, Mac, before we go on, hey, Eddie?
Yeah, man.
Mr. Adcock, how much money you got in your pocket? Well, I mean, just guess at it. I know. Well, we could pool it, and we could pay Sonny to do that, because I'd love to see him do that trick with the banjo.
Especially that banjo, right?
I know one thing, if we either
You
one did
start off
that,
buying me another banjo.
either one,
You clear everything out up here. Because the minute I did that, it hit the ceiling.
I was going to say both of us would be dead because of this banjo would kill us.
Be like a missile there, wouldn't it, boy?
Clear the territory.
Original 9-pound hammer is what would happen with that.
Isn't that Leroy Troy something else? I don't think I'd want to be on a front row at any of his shows. On Volume 8 of Grassroots to Bluegrass, you'll witness what it's like when 35 tremendously talented pickers come together as a unit. You'll also hear individually from Patsy Stoneman, Melvin Goins, J.D. Crowe, and Bill Clifton, and a couple of Mac Wiseman duets.
Hey, ain't that a pretty song?
Yeah, it's a pretty song, pretty order heart.
Ain't it beautiful, Hall?
Yeah, it's beautiful. He's made a lot of them, hasn't he?
I was up in Pennsylvania one night 3 years ago, and I had to use those old harps. See, I had a good black one that somebody stole.
Oh.
You know, like Mother Maybelle.
Yeah, I
used to
know.
play.
Oscar Smith's old order harp.
It had the little bitty round buttons.
I know, I've got
And somebody stole it, and I had and got one of those old harps. You know, most of it is plastic. You know what I'm talking about. No
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah, not
and,
much.
And I had replaced the felt so many times that the holes were wore out, and so I had duct tape all over it. And I was on the stage in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I bent over to get something, and all my keys fell right out on the stage. And George Arthey was there, and he hollered, "You need a harp!" So he built me this one 3 years ago, and I really love it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Let's see. When we gonna come up to your place again? I want to sing there again.
Well, I'll have you again sometime.
How's Joe?
Joe's a doing fine.
Tell him I said hey.
Okay. I'll have you back.
And your grandson.
Dale.
Yeah,
that's
Dale,
that's my
the big
youngest-
guy.
Yeah, that's my youngest one.
Oh, he's a nice fella.
Yeah.
He's just like y'all.
Yeah, it's my baby.
That's one of my favorite places to come. You know, one time they took me down to see AP's in everybody's grave.
Yeah, that's on up the road
Uh-huh.
to our church.
Used to be a train come through there, too, didn't
Yeah, years ago, there was a passenger train, then they quit hauling passengers, and then there's a freight train. And then a big flood come, washed the tracks and everything out, so they eventually just took it. The rails is gone, the ties is gone. It's just where the trains used to go. It's not there no more.
Now, is that where Jimmy Rogers used to come up to see y'all?
Now, he never did come to see the Carter family. They said on the record he visited the Carter family, but he didn't. They made that record when they was in the same studio together, and he talked like he was at
Yeah, he
visiting
said-
him, and Daddy talked like he visited him in Texas. Well, they never did see one another, only in a recording studio, and I think Daddy said he never did see him then, but about 2 or 3 times.